a lot of times one question that we get is, how much does it cost to produce one video? Or I'm sure Dermot, you get this as well. How much does it cost for one image or one photograph? The short answer for me is, why would you only do one photo or one image, one video? To me, that defeats the purpose of branding. So I think the question itself is a genuine question from clients, but they're trying to get a sense of, going back to what Dennis is saying, of the cost. The way we structure it, it's more about, that's a very hard question to answer because we need to know what the strategy is. What is it that you want to do? If you really want to only make one video, maybe a corporate video, okay, then we work with that. But if you want to make a series of video, which is what branding is all about, then that's a very different quote altogether, right? So very difficult question to answer, but it's a very common one from clients, right? Is they want to know what the cost is, right? So you got the bean counters, they want to know what it is. But I don't know, how do you guys view that? Or what advice could you give on that question? Like how can we give an answer back?
I mean, yeah, and I've struggled with this as well in my own work before, like, because that's always the question I get, how much does a video cost? And it's like, well, what video? I've had cases where it is okay to do a single video because maybe they have a small budget or they're not interested in branding. They just need a specific type of video, but 9 times out of 10, they have no clue what goes into production. Okay, one video, is that a one cameraman and a camera? Is that, do you want a director on set? Do you want a producer? Do you want a sound guy? Do you want good sound? What else are we going to be adding into this? And how long is that shoot going to be? Do you need someone to edit this? All of this can fluctuate the costs like dramatically.
Yeah. So one question turns into about 20 that we went.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the shortest answer is it depends, and all of these points.
The worst answer that a client wants to hear.
It depends, yeah, because if you think about, I mean, do you bring in talent also? Because that brings up costs. Does the shoot last over several days? Are we going to a location? There's all the pre-production that would go into doing some of these types of videos require travel time, location scouting, all the pre-production. It adds up, but by having that, you create a much better production, and of course the end result is quality, and I think that's the thing that if you really want quality, you need to be able to kind of nurture these types of things that go into creating a video. And I'm sure, I don't know, I mean, from the photographic side, I mean.
I come across it in a slightly different way. Mm-hmm. Not many people come in and say, I just want a photograph, I need a photograph, If they do a single photograph, it's not what I do.
The machine's over there.
Pretty good.
The problem is that when people want a photograph, they really want a good photograph, or at least I think they want a good photograph, and I convince them they need a good photograph. They need a photograph that expresses their personality, expresses who they are, and a photograph that looks like they're a trustworthy person, they're a reliable person, they're an approachable person. They're going to use it in some sort of, either in their social media or on a website, or in some way that's going to enhance and promote them. And it's got to be a photo, from my point of view, that flatters them. So to do all of that, you just don't walk into the studio and flash away and it's gone. I want to sit down with them for a few minutes. I want to get to know them, maybe have a coffee, get to understand their personality, and get to observe them as regards how the lighting is hitting them, where they look good, how they look, better in one way, and what kind of expressions really express that kind of emotion that I'm trying to get out of it. So in the end, it's really a photo session, not a single photo. At least that's what I convince them is what they really need. And for the most part, they accept that that is what they really want. They want a photograph they can be happy with, that they can reuse, and that expresses and enhances their social side or their business or professional side. So a one single photograph request is not going to cut it.
And clothing obviously has some.
This is another thing I always convince them to bring a couple of changes of clothing, something bright against the dark background, something dark against a bright background. So we have a choice of different aspects of the person that they can actually see themselves. They have a range of photographs they can work with.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of approach that I take in doing it.
And it's hard, right? I mean, when we do video, I mean, a lot of our stuff is more like dialogue stuff, but I can create that mood just by talking, right? But it's a lot harder to do with photography, I think. Yeah.
In photography, you have to capture it in the moment. And what I often say to people I'm working with and I'm photographing, you know, I'm seeing you through my camera, I'm seeing you at 1/200 of a second. I actually cannot see you with my eyes at 1/200 of a second. And it's quite an amazing difference because I look at images and I say, that's not the way I saw him when I'm doing post-production. That's not the way. Oh, here's the one. This is great. I can capture it. But remember, because my eyes cannot, and my brain cannot reflect 1/200 of a second, but the camera can. So a lot of times, some of the pictures will not look great. For whatever reason, I've decided that that's not the real, true expression. And people have micro expressions as well, which are also very hard to catch. And the other thing is, people blink at a very fast rate. When I click the shutter, their eyes are open. After I see the picture afterwards, they blinked. They blinked in the 1/200 of a second. So that's how fast you're chasing it sometimes after that. But with video, I think you have this greater flexibility that there's movement and there's more of the personality being expressed, and it doesn't have to be caught in one single 200 of a second slice of their life.
Well, and it's a lot harder to deliver with video, you know, because
What is it?
Yeah.
There's much more involved in doing the video.
The pros and cons, and we'll get into that. I mean, we've listed up kind of the creative process as well, because going back to the cost issue and the whole process, it's not just one video and it's usually not just one photograph. And if we did the same, like if we're talking about interviewing, we interview a lot of individual people, right? So we bring that out, but that's what the selection of the videos are. It's a combination of all of the people that work at your company, the different jobs they have, and those kind of things. Whereas photography as well, they might want us. What I see in the recruiting business, especially in corporate business, is everyone has to have the same background, right? Which is very hard to make it more individualistic, I guess, when you have to have, everyone has to have the same pose.
Well, you can mix up the poses a bit. Some people looking to the left, some people looking to the right, and some people will look better on either side. Some people may be more slightly straight on. But yes, it's a question of getting consistency, especially for big corporations. I think consistency is important. When I see a bunch of photographs and they're all totally different, the sizes of their heads are large and some people are small and far away, that gives me a very negative image of how that company approaches its image in the marketplace, which goes back to the issue of the branding, that the branding is not being focused on in that case,